Please put your hands together for Miss Pia Glenn.
I get home from school, walk in the door, and immediately see the letter addressed to me from NYU. I drop my backpack, damn straight. I drop my backpack, tear it open, and read out loud that I've been accepted. Early decision, scholarship, done deal. My mother stands next to me as I read it, and she high-fives me, just a little too hard. But we're excited, and I'm so happy. See, I had put all my college application eggs in that one basket, and I was in. I float through that evening on a college-bound cloud and eventually go to sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night and I see my mother standing over my bed, but I don't see the knife in her hand until she's bringing it down onto my neck. I feel the pressure from the blade on my skin, but I don't say anything and I don't scream. I have to gauge her lucidity. See, my mother's often violent toward me during her manic or psychotic episodes brought on by bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. I scan her face for a trace of awareness, and I'm about to ask if she knows where she is when she lifts the knife and backs out of the room. The high five from earlier flashes across my mind. It was just a little too hard. She's gone off her medication again. It's my job to monitor her meds and to pay attention to when mommy laughs too loud or cries too long or high-fives me just a little too hard, and I messed up. I got happy and I messed up and she's having an episode and I have to make sure my little brother's okay. I get out of bed to check on my brother and disarm my mother and get the phone to call 911, and suddenly 2 policemen burst into my room. They block me physically. They're shouting, "Have you taken any pills? Any medication? Who called the police and how long have they been here?" You know what? I was about to call them, so let's do this. My mother is mentally ill and she's having an episode and I have to go check on my brother. Come on! The cops sandwich me in, physically stopping me from leaving the room, and they're shouting, "Tell us what you've taken! Tell us what you've taken!" The cops are here for me. My mother called the police on me. They tell me that yes, she had called them and told them I was threatening to kill myself. What? No, I absolutely am not. Please, she's not well. I have to go downstairs. I have to check on my brother. The cops give me a quick pat down and the 3 of us hustle down the stairs. And there, I see my 11-year-old brother's little face peeking out from behind his bedroom door, watching our mother pacing back and forth in the living room. Seeing him upright and breathing brings some relief, so I turn back to the cops, trying to convince them that she's the dangerous one, not me. My mother's yelling over me, our voices louder and louder like a terrible duet, and the cops are just staring. Suddenly, my mother produces a pile of tattered papers that look vaguely familiar. She shoves them in the cops' faces, and time stops as I recognize my own anguished handwriting. I watch the cops reading little snatches of my words being used as evidence of my alleged suicide threat. No, you don't understand. When my mother's depressed, she tells me not to talk to her. She tells me to write down anything that I have to say to her. That's why I wrote those letters. I might have been sad because my mother wouldn't talk to me, but please, she's the one who needs help, not me. It feels as absurd to say it out loud as it must sound to the cops, and it's clear the way they're reading my admittedly emotional but not suicidal words that they don't believe me. They're dragging me along, but I will not leave my brother with her. And just when I'm about to stretch myself out across the doorway like a cartoon cat, my mother picks up the guitar she never played and smashes it into the glass top of the coffee table, shattering it. She stands over her mess, huffing and puffing, and the cops finally think maybe they should take her in too. I call the understanding neighbor who sometimes looks after my brother at times like this, and I pack his clothes for him and watch him walk up the block to her house, all under police supervision. The cops debate calling a second ambulance, but then it's decided that we'll just all ride together. For the whole ride, I stare at my mother, staring into space, and I wonder how I can fix this. It's my job to fix this. When we get to the ER, I'm still considered the threat, and she's a question mark in their minds. But legally, having just turned 17, I'm a minor and she's my mother, and she puts on enough of a show of sanity to sign the paperwork to have me committed. We sit side by side on plastic molded seats in the psychiatric ER in the middle of the night, waiting for my transportation to a youth mental hospital. Mom? Do you know where you are? She stares straight ahead. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is all happening. She turns to me and says, without even a hint of recognition in her face, what do you mean? What's happening? I turn my face so she won't see me cry. My mother gets up and starts pacing in the waiting area. Shit, pacing is bad. I try to alert the staff, but they're ignoring me because I'm the crazy one. So I can only watch as she lunges at a passing nurse, getting off one clean punch to her head before being tackled to the ground, injected with straight Haldol, and dragged off to be admitted. Well, now they believe me about my mother. See, the transitive property of mathematics does not apply here, so her now clear manic state can't negate the fact that she had signed me, a minor, into a psychiatric facility. I'm begging for someone to believe that I don't need to be hospitalized. And I'm aware that as the hours pass and my begging gets more and more emphatic, I only look more and more unhinged. And I'm still in my pajamas because the police wouldn't let me change. A full day comes and goes. Each doctor that I talk to seems to see both sides, but can't or won't break the hospital red tape. So they pass the buck to the doctors on the next shift, up and up the food chain, until finally, I'm granted an audience with the head doctor. I plead my case to him in a tiny exam room, and crying here and there as I talk, but when he smiles warmly and says he believes me, I start to sob with relief and the full force of 2 sleepless nights' exhaustion. The doctor continues. One thing, though. If you're okay, then why are you crying? He's so fucking smug. But I try to answer him anyway. I'm crying because I just watched my mother attack a nurse and get sedated on the floor, and she tried to kill me, I think last night or the night before. He just gets up and walks out of the room. A little Medivan transports me to the facility. They confiscate my shoelaces and the drawstring from my funky pajama bottoms and offer me donated clothes that are way too small. I shower with an orderly watching and eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the little cafeteria by myself. And I just wish I could call my brother and check on him. A fellow patient with a full cast on his arm tries to say hi, and I try to hide my fear. He has that same manic look in his eyes as my mom. There's a skeletal girl with a feeding tube in her nose because she won't eat. And her eyes are so sad. I just want to give her a hug, but I know I'd crush her. The doctors at the facility address me with a combination of compassion and curiosity, seemingly believing me, but bound by bureaucracy. I cling to my little corner in the therapy room, looking out the closet at the window. On day 3, a therapist begins a group session by asking for volunteers to share. And the scruffy boy with the wild eyes in the cast raises his hand. He says, I'll start. And he points sharply at me and he says, why is she here? Another girl says, yeah, she shouldn't be here. Send her home. There are about 12 of us in the room, and everyone chimes in, and the boy with the cast is banging it on the table, and they're saying, send her home, send her home. And then he starts hitting himself in the head with the cast, hard. And he's like, yeah, I'm crazy. This is crazy. She's not crazy. Send her home. I am watching these kids, these wonderful and warm and compassionate and, in this moment, logical kids sticking up for me, saying what I had been begging adult medical professionals to say for days. The next day, I'm released. My father picks me up, and at this point in my life, I hadn't seen much of him. I can tell he doesn't really believe me when I tell him what happened. I go from staying at my dad's to staying at a friend's, and when my mom is released from the hospital, she gets my brother from where he'd been staying. When I finally get back home, my mother greets me with a smile on her face and a big mylar balloon bouquet, as if I'd been on a pleasure cruise. I know she doesn't remember her episodes, but there's always evidence of them in what's missing or broken, so I look around and use my usual cleanup. The time she broke all the glasses in the kitchen, I just went to the store and bought plastic cups, or I just throw away whatever she lit on fire and it's never spoken of again. But this time was different because she got home before me. My brother and the helpful neighbor had swept up the glass and thrown out the guitar, and my mother's mess was cleaned up without me. See, what was broken this time was my belief that my mother could ever really love me. What was missing this time was my ability to go back to business as usual. That fall, when I packed my things to go live in the dorms at NYU, I'm full of conflict. I hope that my mother won't be as violent to my little brother as she was to me. And she hadn't so far, but anything can happen with her. The day I leave for school, I stand in front of the house with my brother, and I say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm leaving you, but I have to go. He's not nearly as emotional as I am. I'm a mess. It was a passing of the torch of caring for our mom, and in the years to come, he stepped up and did just that. My mother died 6 weeks ago, and at the funeral, I almost fell over at the sight of her body in the casket, and it was my little brother, now a married father of 2, who held me up when I couldn't take another step forward. At our mother's funeral, my brother took care of me the way I had taken care of him, the way we both took care of her.